Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be on the Hangout this morning. We've been doing conference calls for the last little while because of traveling and everything, and so I'm super excited to be able to see Curtis's face today. I wanted to
be here so we can kind of wave and say hi to each other.
Yeah. They have I noticed that they have a new app now where you can do like applause. I just haven't figured that part out yet, but I think that might be a little scary.
Oh, well, let's see what there is. I'll tell you, just for giggles and grins, there's an effect called the Hangout Toolbox, and on your left-hand side, if you don't see it, then you can go down to the add and you look it up, add apps, and it's a standard Google Hangout app called Hangout Toolbox. And in the toolbox, here we go. Let me see. Oh, well, on mine, you know something, I think I was supposed to actually activate it before that's what I needed to do. I needed to activate it before he came in.
Oh, well, next time we'll do that.
And I activated it before he came in, and we actually started. Oh, no, hang on. I apologize, wrong thing. It used to be there was a thing called Google Effects. That's what it is, Google Effects. Now let's see if I can activate it while we're here, because this would be a whole lot of fun. I think we can, yes. So let's see, I can either be the cat in the hat today while we're chatting, or I could be the king, or if you'd like, I can be Bozo the Clown. So whatever you think's the most, after all, we want to raise the professionalism of our profession. And
I think King would be fantastic.
I could also wear the Google goggles if everybody thinks that would be more effective in learning today. Or there's always the Titan beard. If you don't want to do that. Or here we can have some real fun. And here we go. It's now time for Romy's applause. So here's Romy Clark. Okay, Romy, it's all yours. You can take it away.
Oh my gosh. Well, so for those of you that don't know who Curtis is, because we have a lot of new team members coming on, and we've actually been sharing with some of the other teams this fabulous training opportunity. Curtis and Lisa have they're pretty much world renowned in their training and what's that?
We're legends in our own mind.
You are legends, and we're thrilled to have you. They are awesome in their experience in their building businesses and in their trainings and their mentoring and pretty much everything that is needed to be able to be successful in building a business and being entrepreneurs. So we're super thrilled to have them with us, and today we do have Curtis with us, and I guess next week we're going to have Lisa. So I am thrilled to have Curtis and for all of us to be able to learn from his expertise and his experience. Curtis has enabled the Q&A, so if you guys have questions throughout the training, you can do that. So the people that interact, we are going to be giving away a couple of the Rise of the Entrepreneur documentaries today. So take some notes and get ready to learn. Take it away, Curtis.
Well, there you go. It has been such a wild and crazy time since the GoPro Recruiting Mastery, and it was just a great event, and it was wonderful to spend time with you and Mark, and to see some of the other team members. I had a conversation with some people, a few weeks ago, and one of the things that Eric teaches is one of the core skills of a true professional is follow-up. But I wanted to put a perspective in follow-up based upon how I was taught by my mentor years ago, a guy named Daniel. We've spoken about occasionally. And so, Romy, I know you muted out, but let me ask you a question real quick. Have you and I gone through, and if not, I don't want to go through the whole thing this time, but have you and I gone through the commit, engage, and test process? Have we discussed that? Is that something that sounds familiar to you? Commit, engage, test?
I don't think so.
Good. Well, since because I'm a man, that means I forget most things 10 minutes later. Because you're a woman, you remember most things forever. So if you don't think so, then I guarantee you're right on target. So um, men just claim to remember everything, and we remember actually very little. But no, it was a conversation I was having with somebody, and I remember thinking, "Ooh, this is something I want to cover with Romy and the Terra gang." But I'll do this a little different. I'll do it out. A conversation about commit, engage, and test came up with my mentor years ago when I was talking about, and I know we've talked about that, the frustrations. The frustrations when people say they're going to do something and they don't, and how do you deal with your disappointments when they say they're going to be at the meeting and they don't show up, or when they commit to being there and they're excited about being with this long term and they last 5 minutes. And for those of you who have seen it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you've not, make sure you go back through many of the hangouts and the recorded teleseminar conversations that we've had. By the way, one of the things that Colin's doing is we had done this actually a long time ago internally with a destination we had, and I realized we just hadn't even thought about it. So what she's doing is she's going back to grab all of the teleseminar conversations. And then we'll also probably go through, because through this Google Plus team page, people can go back and see all the events. But what we'll do is in the Facebook group, we're going to create a file, and the file will be a real quick, simple archive location for all those links. So I'll have her, but particularly the teleseminar links, because I know that we post them in the Facebook group at the conclusion of each call. That means you kind of got to go scrolling through a lot. So she's going to have a document. So if you go to the Facebook group page, right there up top where it says files, click, you'll be able to see archived calls, hangouts, webinars, whatever format we may ever do, and we'll just have them all listed. In fact, I'll ask her to go through, or anybody could go through and then watch them and then even update that file with maybe a topic or a subject matter, so it makes it easier for people to go back. Oh, go back and watch this one about that, or listen to this thing about that. So, sorry, that was just a sidetrack. So we'll be able to go back and get back to a lot of this stuff. But we talked about disappointment and why the question came back from my mentor. He says, what are you disappointed about? I mean, what the heck are you disappointed about? None of that activity should. People tell you they're going to do something and don't. People say they're going to show up and they don't. People say they're there for the long term, quit fight. None of that should be disappointing. And so people should go back to that training. I think it's a very insightful thing. But when we talk about follow-up, for many people, I think follow-up means continuing to stay with someone until you achieve the result that you desire. And it comes back to something, it's the third component of commit, engage, and test, which was a process that my mentor had me go through. And I won't do that whole one here. I just want to talk about the follow-up perspective for a moment and what you're trying to achieve and one of the simple ways to do it. Now, I think we did talk about this at one point, and back then, my mentor, one of the things that he had said was, creating wealth in network marketing is actually simple. It doesn't make it easy, and we'll always stress that. What we do is simple. It's not complicated. It's not brain surgery, but it's not easy. It takes hard work. Great reward always follows hard work. There's no luck involved. And one of the things he said was, if you want to be successful and you want to create a lot of wealth, what you have to do is you've got to get a calendar, and you got to fill the calendar. As he used to say, turn it black, back in the black ink days. He said, you've got to turn the calendar black. You need to fill it from 8 a.m. to, in his case, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I started going from 8 a.m. to midnight, but you need to fill it 7 days a week, including the time that you say, I'm taking this day off, and I'm going to the beach with the family, or I'm going to my granddaughter's recital, ballet recital, or whatever it is. Everything needs to be calendared, because you get into the mindset of my day, my life. I commit to a calendar what I'm going to do. Because unless it's written down, it doesn't exist. Jordan Adler said the same thing. Unless it's written down, it doesn't exist. And so his comment was, what do you do to fill the calendar? How do you do that? And follow-up is the key to that. And follow-up is what my mentor used to call testing. And testing was, I'm not attempting to manipulate to create a result. Yes, I want to have great results, but I focus and commit to the purity of a process that is the correct process. And then if I commit to that, and if I calendar it, and if I attack it aggressively, and I go at it, with all I've got, even if it's part-time. So I want people to understand this applies to someone who is full-time, 100%, full-time like you and Mark, but that's not where you started, or is 100% only part-time in terms of number of hours. But when you're applying those hours, they are flat out 100 mile an hour full-time hours. So if you get that follow-up portion, and the reason it's important is that people do change their mind, and that's their right, and it's okay if they change their mind. The key is that you are aware that they have, so that you can change your calendar. You can change your schedule. Doesn't mean you're changing your schedule to fit them. It means now there is an opening in your schedule that there was not before, because you keep thinking that someone is engaged when in fact they're not. They've changed their mind. Something's come up, and that was what he used to call the test. And his test was, from the moment he began prospecting, he had made a decision. This is what he was going to do, and he was going to never stop doing it until the day he died. And he said, "That's my position. That's it. I've made that decision." There could be a whole conversation about people say, "Oh, well, I'm excited to try this." If that's what you truly feel, please don't start. Just stop now and walk away and go do something else. Nobody succeeds by trying anything. Do or don't do, but don't try. Say, "I've decided I'm going to do this." Great. You at least have a chance. But if you haven't said, "I've decided I am going to do this," you will have zero chance. There is no chance whatsoever that on any level, small, medium, or large, you will have any success whatsoever. Because it means you've already got the out. You've already put yourself in the out position. "Well, I was just trying and it didn't work out." Okay, great. Why waste your time? So it's not a matter of try, do or do not, period. In fact, in Star Wars, Yoda, that was one of the quotes he was attributed with. Do or do not, there is no try. And so you start there, but that means you commit to a process. And part of the process is you have to think about yourself as the alpha, if you will, the starting point. How did you get involved in this profession? How did you get in this particular case? How did you get involved in doTERRA? How did you become a member of Romy's Rockstars? How did you become a part of this team? Well, someone asked some questions, if nothing else, you want to take a look at something or whatever it may have been, you got information through whatever the methodology was. You ran that information around your head, and you came to a conclusion, said, "This is for me," and you enrolled. Now, hopefully you didn't just say, "Well, I'll try this." If you did, that's okay, but just know, until you change that to "I'm going to do this," you're never going to succeed anyway. So I would recommend, if you've so far said you're going to try it, well, great, you're here. Now that you've already heard it, there's no getting away from it. You either have to decide, you have to throw that away and decide you're going to do it, or it's not going to work. But how did you get here? And so here's what Daniel was telling me. He said, "Curtis, I'm not here to have anybody do what they don't. I'm here to inform and educate and test. And my testing is, are you ready to decide, or are you not ready to decide? Decide to do. Decide to do what? Well, decide to do the next step." And for him, it was always the next step. And what he was testing for is, because in our profession, we are in the leadership development profession. That's what we do. Along the way, we want everyone to be welcome. And the vast majority, 95%, will never walk the leadership path all the way to the end. In other words, they will never walk it. They will never decide to do that unstoppably, irreversibly, with total commitment, undeniably, undistractedly. They're never going to do that. That's okay. Not everything is for everybody, and there is a place here in our profession for everyone at every level. But if you want to make $300 a month, you have to decide you're going to do it. And so when he talked about follow-up, he said, my follow-up is not for the purpose of concluding the sale. My follow-up is for the purpose of getting a decision. I simply want it to be an informed decision. And once a decision is made, a mind can still be changed. Now, it's pretty simple if you're trying to do a customer acquisition. That's pretty simple. Here's the information about the product. I want to test if you're ready to make a decision. So my follow-up is, here's some information. Many people say, sure. Using the hot market system, you can get a lot of people who are close to you to try it without any effort, hardly at all. You know, a 60-second conversation, a 15-second answer, boom, done, game, set, match, in the can, finished. You've gotten them to try it because the product is what acquires the consumer long term. So customer acquisition, but still it's a test. There may be some who say, well, let me think about that. Or do you have some information I can look at before I say yes? You know, Romy, I'll be willing to support you in your business, but before I do anything that's going to touch my body, you know, I'm very holistically minded, so do you have some information that I can review? Because I just want to get a little bit of comfort level with you, and then absolutely I'll be one of those trial consumers for you. But I'm not just going to buy it and just throw it in the trash. I want to do this, but you know me, my body's my temples. Great. Let me get some information to you. I'm still going to, then when is the time for my next test? I'll get this to you. When will you remember the Eric Worre approach? When will you watch it? Great. So by Wednesday, you will have had a chance to see it. And if you watch it early, you can call me. But if not, then on Thursday, I'll call you and we can follow up. Is that great? Okay, great. I'll put you down on my calendar. All of this comes together. And anybody who's listening to this, who hears me refer to this stuff about Eric, if it doesn't sound familiar, you simply haven't read the book Go Pro, The 7 Steps to Becoming a Network Marketing Professional, which is a short, fast read. Romy is a committed follower of Eric's, so am I. We can't go read the book to you. It's not nighttime, bedtime reading stories. So if you haven't read it, get it and read it. Got to do that. You got to help us help you, as Jerry Maguire would say. So read that book, because then this would make sense. What is a simple, setting a time? Well, that is Eric's process of setting a time for what my mentor would have called the next test. What's the next test? Did you do what you said you were going to do? Did you check out the information? Did you check out the information so that we can so I can, look for you to decide to become one of those trial consumers? Well, the customer side, the consumer side, that's simple. When it comes to the team member side, that's a little more complex because, we know that people are making decisions that will have potentially a much greater impact, and it's a baby step process. Okay, everything starts here, and then through little bitty decisions over time, people move along their path. But what my mentor was saying is if you have decided you're going to go big, whether that's a 6-month, a 1-year, a 2-year, you and Mark have been following this path for 3.5 years, in a committed, aggressive, focused, personally developing, wanting every day to be better than yesterday, stretching through the pain, like an athlete, going the distance and through the pain and difficulty to make sure you stretched and greased day. But here you are at an amazing place 3.5 years later. But there are those who just would like that extra $300 or $400 a month income. Great. You're still going to have to decide to do it. There's still a path you have to walk. It's much quicker to help get you there, and once there, it's great to let you be there. I'm not here to push you further, but it doesn't mean that I won't still follow up and test with simple things, because I know that the road to the quadruple, triple spinning, flashing diamond Starfleet commander position at the top, I know that's a road that leads out to here. So I've got this first decision, and then I got all these little decisions before you get out of here. You may have chosen so far to kind of pause here. That's great. It doesn't mean that follow-up doesn't mean I can't come back and see in a gentle way, because I don't want you to feel bad about where you are. I want you to feel blessed about where you are, and I want you to feel great about where you are, and I want you to feel loved and accepted and respected in the community for where you are. And if you stopped at a very small level of accomplishment compared to what out here would be, but it can be a huge level of accomplishment for you, and that you've accomplished 100% of your goals, dreams, and desires that you set when you first started. And if you choose to never raise that bar, congratulations. You have actually achieved 100% of what you wanted. And if this is my goal and I'm only here, I'm still nowhere close to achieving as much of my goal as you have. So you're actually, in many ways, further ahead of me. But the question is, are we still testing? Because sometimes people will change their mind. And And sometimes the changing the mind is taking themselves out of the game. And so his comment was, to be wealthy, you have to fill a calendar, and it's with those people that you are continuing to touch because, at least as far as you know, they're continuing to walk this path. And our job as leaders is to lead. Our job as leaders is to guide, is to mentor, is to coach. But our job is to coach those who are choosing to do. And there are those who choose to no longer do, they just don't let us know. And so when we talk about follow-up, the reason it's important to get it down and get it locked in and calendar it and have it be precise is so that you can properly and effectively serve. The best way to move towards that success is you decide you're going to do, but you must develop a servant leader heart as rapidly as possible. If you have a personal achievement heart, you will have a tendency to manipulate and to twist, to influence not in the right way, but to try and make people do something. How do I get my people to? You need to take that verbiage out of you need to stop. If you're going to be a true leading professional, you don't make anybody do anything. You do that in school, whereas the teacher, you say, do this assignment or I'm going to give you an F. This isn't school. I mean, it is, well, school, but it's not that kind of school. It's voluntary. That student has to be there, or they'll, the truant officers will go throw you and the parents in the, in the can overnight or whatever. The student has to go to school at that young age. You have a job and your employer says, do this or I'll terminate you. That's not an option. Here, everything's voluntary. So I'm not here to get anybody to do anything. I'm here to give everybody an opportunity to do something. But the follow-up still, because some people still need a little bit of that pushing and prodding, but in the right way. And the follow-up is, I'm constantly setting that next step evaluation time. Here's the step. You said you'll do it. Great. There you go. And here's one of the purposes of effective follow-up. It's for your time management. It's not to create the result. It's to know where to be spending your time. If you don't become a follow-up master, you won't become an effective time user. And here's what I mean by that. You need to know when it's time to continue down a path with someone and when it's no longer time. It doesn't mean you toss them away. You don't do that. But there are two ways in which you build great teams. One is you do things in group. This is for the whole group. There's no requirement to be here other than you are still breathing. And you read the notification and actually showed up. So everybody was told, here's a hangout. Everybody's welcome to come take a look. That's group activity. The Tuesday night meetings here in Chicago at this location, that's a group event. The Super Saturday training in Wichita, that's a group event. The conference calls that happen by the company or that we do on Monday night for the corporate update, and Wednesday is the product training, and Thursday is the corporate overview call, that's group events. So you have to break everything down as what is a group event, and everybody's involved in group. The question is, what are the individualized leadership development? Because that's what, to give you an idea, let's fast forward, and you started over here, trying to keep my hands in the thing. So you start over here to the left, and then you get out here to this top leadership position. Let me tell you what your day looks like when you're in one of these elite leadership positions. Your day is almost exclusively in support of all of these growing, accelerating mid-level leaders. Because you can really only effectively, intensely coach, mentor, and support 8, 10, 12 people. Beyond that, it becomes psycho bananas. I mean, because if you really are a top tier, maybe 12, 15, if you've got really highly intense, effective communication systems and support stuff, maybe an assistant or something, but I mean on a really massively intense level to move up to those hundreds of thousands of dollars a month incomes, there are, your group, you will, at that level is, here's where all my diamonds. So if you've got 40 diamonds, here's my diamond call. It's a whole different conversation, because these are people, I know one particular person who is a diamond with 40 diamonds, and in that particular company, the average diamond income is about $1 million a year, and so they've got 40 people making $1 million a year. So it's a whole different conversation that they have here than they do in their group. Gee whiz, here's our Tuesday night opportunity, webinar. That's just a whole different conversation. And so if you start here with the end in mind, when I'm here, there are going to be 10 or 12 though, because out of their 40 diamonds, there are 8 to 10 probably of their top tier elite, double or triple diamonds or whatever it is, that are the giants they're working with every day. Every single day they're in communication with them, no matter where in the world they are. Through those 6, 8, 10, and it may be just 3, 4, 5, through those, then here's the next 10 or 15 of those 5 or 30. That's how it's going to break down, and then because all the people at that level are capable fully of engaging with the group. So if you know this is where you're headed, the key is, who should I be spending time with on day one when I'm beginning? Well, everybody, because your list, your calendar is all prospects. But what you're trying to do, it comes back to, again, that originating question. Are you trying, or have you decided you're going to do it? And it's okay, on day one, please don't be overwhelmed with the conversation of this out here. Romy started on day one, and she'll tell you her day one story. She couldn't see herself making 4 figures a month, $1,000, maybe 2,000, 3,000, maybe at most one day. That was it. And there was no way it was getting bigger than that. All these other people who are talking about all this money they're making, I think they're lying anyway. Or I can't believe it's real. That's where Romy is today. Today, she can't believe there aren't more people who are out there, on the road running as fast as they can to go do what she's doing, because she's that giant 6-figure earner headed towards 7 figures, and she sees with clarity in her mind, she and Mark see, they are 7-figure earners for the rest of their career. That's where they're headed, and then eventually multiple 7-figure earners, because they got it. They now have seen it. Same people, same wonderful core values as human beings. Go back 3.5 years, they didn't believe any of that was real. So there's obviously a process of growth. We're okay. Everybody has to go through that. I went through that. You got to be kidding me. These are ridiculous, stupid carnival stories from the front of the room, and none of that's really got to be true. It's all got to be fake, right? Until now, I absolutely know with certainty. I've stood backstage with multi-million-dollar earners who all started as just good old average folks like all of us. So it's okay if you're here and this seems a little overwhelming, but just understand this. Your path will be both you deciding to do, not deciding to try. And then your path is who is coming with you, because you can't go from here to here by yourself. The person that I'm referring to makes probably close to $8 million a year. She doesn't make $8 million a year. She has a group of over 40 diamonds, some of which are triple diamonds, some double diamonds, some diamonds, and understand the diamonds average $1 million a year. So you can imagine with the doubles and triples, she didn't have that on day one. So she's been in a process of building and developing over the years. Well, now, and she'll continue. I mean, imagine the day 15 years from now when she has 400 diamonds in a group, because her diamonds are building diamonds, and she's, so everybody, it's okay to start over here as the part-timer who wants to make $500 a month. Our job is, it's about the follow-up. But the follow-up is not to get people to be a customer. It's not to get people to be the distributor. It's not to get someone to walk the leadership path who chooses not to. It is to say, here is the next step. Who's going with me? Because I've decided I'm going. And that's what your follow-up is. When my mentor finally showed me his calendar, I kept wondering, well, when are you closing this? He said, I don't know. I'm not closing any action. These are the next steps. My customers, here's their first introductory step. They're watching this product video or whatever. The next step is they're going to decide they want to try the product. The next step is to follow up to make sure they're enjoying the product experience so that they confirm their auto ship, get their discount preferred customer price, so they remain as a discount preferred customer forever. And continuing a communication relationship, maybe emailing once a month to all my preferred customers to make sure they're happy. Okay, that's those steps. The distributor, here's my first step. Here's my second step. Yes, they've enrolled. Great. Did they do hot market? Yes. Okay, great. Have they started a prospecting list? Yes. Have they started to communicate with them? Have they started to ask the questions? Are you happy? Got a plan when you see one? Did they bring somebody to a meeting? Great. Did we follow? But every follow-up was, this is testing for the next step, because they all say they're going to do the next step. Are they doing it? And so, and when people get that shift, what happens is suddenly this becomes a fun business and not a nerve-wracking business. It becomes an exciting and enjoyable business. It doesn't become this pressure packed, oh my gosh, I've got to get someone to join my team, or it becomes actually something you're proud of, that you can respect what you do because I'm just testing. I'm allowing others to be and do and choose. I'm the professional tester. I'm testing because I know where you are. Here's the next step. Are you taking it? And telling me is not the same. What I'm looking for and not hear the words your mouth is saying because they are doing. That's what I'm looking for. I'm allowing everyone to do what they choose, but at each step, since I know I'm all running all the way to here, I'm testing to see who's running with me. And the reason I'm testing, if they've chosen to stop running here, that's great. I need to know that now I'm just running with these other folks here, and I'm respecting them there, always giving them later through group the opportunities by telling the stories of all the people who are still running, because maybe one of their, because obviously my story didn't inspire them to go further. That's why we all tell stories. The more stories we tell of the people who continue to run, maybe 6 months from now it inspires, they go, oh, okay, I'm going to start running again. Because they can also, and so when we talk about follow-up, the reason it's so critical, if you don't effectively do this, you have no idea where you are. Because where you are won't get you to here. What you decide to do begins the process, but it's bringing a group of people with you that gets you to here. And so when you just understand, when you follow up, in a lot of ways in which we follow up in the world traditionally, or if we were in a sales business, we followed up, it's because we were trying to conclude. Here, we're not concluding anything. We're only getting the next step, because the minute they take the next step, there's thousands of steps to get up to here. Nothing ever gets concluded. It's just a next step. So when you get that in your mind, I have decided I'm walking all 10,000 steps. I'm simply trying to identify and test who is walking those steps with me, and if there's no one, then I'm still looking. At this moment, this person I was referring to is not out there prospecting. At this point, if they are, maybe they have top-tier leaders coming to them saying, so tell me what's going on. But they were prospecting at one time. Now where they are is they are supporting this team of leaders, because down here, this is the portion of their leadership structure now that is supporting and prospecting. So everything up here becomes a support environment so that all of this can happen, so that a larger and larger group of people is allowed to come. So what you do here is you're the frontline doer. As soon as people start joining the team, you're a frontline doer and a team supporter, until all of a sudden the team gets to a point where team supporter becomes the most dominant activity, supporting at different levels, until over here you're the leader supporter, because you're at such a large level. You're an elite leader supporter, supporting other elite leaders, supporting mid-level leaders, supporting rising leaders, so that brand new team members have the support they need and deserve. And so when we talk about follow-up, the reason it's so critical and such a critical skill, but having a perspective, what am I following up? I'm following up to identify, where are they? Not where they say they are, but where are they truly? Because I need to know, should I be continuing to work with them more one-on-one-ish? Because this is a part of my truly evolving leadership people on my own leadership path, because that's the path I've decided, or are these part of my group folks? Because what's important is that everyone knows, regardless of what they decide, they are welcome. They are loved, they are embraced, their choice is respected, and they are welcome. But I'm looking for those who are still choosing, because they have not stopped and their horizon is not limited and has not been fixed and set, because that's who I want to make sure that I'm helping along the path. So when we talk about follow-up, that's the key. That's the perspective. I'm not following up to conclude it. I'm following up to just understand, where are you, and have you stopped? Have you stopped deciding to go further, or are you still going with me? Because I need to know where I should be spending my time. Okay, so when we talk about follow-up, just having that perspective of what follow-up really means will be great and rewarding for you. So, and then what we'll do is I'll actually come back, now that we've done that one, I'll come back in the next couple of weeks, after Lisa's been here a little bit, and we'll do a commit, engage, test, put all of it together, and we'll spend the least amount of time in testing because I'll refer back to this one and say, so we can spend the time on committing and engaging, which is important, and what that does in your mindset. And we've already taught all of these things, but I'll bring it back as a coherent training base skill, and but understanding what it is we're really trying to accomplish in follow-up versus what might be happening in a traditional business or a traditional world or a traditional employee or management path is different. That make sense?
Totally. I love that. I love the part about the manipulation part where until we move into the servant leadership part of it, that our actions become manipulative, and I've seen that.
Be careful of that, because here's the problem in our business. Because of voluntary, if you actually manipulated somebody somewhere, there's a natural restraint resistance, and eventually what's going to happen is they're going to snap back, and that whole time will have been wasted, where you could have been objectively and appropriately testing and following up with others who were still choosing versus forcing a choice that was just a short-term result, but a fake one. So you go, oh, my team's up to 10 people, and it turns out, well, no, you've only got a half a person. You got one person who's halfway kind of thinking about going beyond trying, and it turns out everybody else is. But you don't know that. But the computer says they got 10 people. Yeah. Sorry.
And I've seen people in the verbiage that you used about getting people, and I have to get this person, and you can really watch the frustration level that they're at when they are in that get phase rather than moving into that serving phase.
We've all been through it. I was a huge getter and was massively frustrated that all these people who signed up or did something, they never went further. I was like, what? How could you do something like that? Because that wasn't me. I did it. I went on doing it, but they did well. But I finally, they're not. They're not you, Curtis. You were supposed to be. We are looking for those who are looking, like we were looking. We aren't looking for those that we're having to influence because they really were never looking for anything. That's always the challenge. So.
Right. Yeah. As soon as I moved into the not getting part, it really made it a lot more fun and a lot easier. You get to relax and just really get the whole big picture of it. Mm-hmm.
I think for people prospecting is like terrifying. That's because I think I'm getting. When I realize I'm not getting anybody, I'm just talking to people. Let them choose what they want to choose. It's a whole. It's like this huge weight just goes, whew. And people just start smiling, and you just start having a good time. It becomes fun. It really does. And what's funny is it moves faster.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It moves a lot faster.
I just want to share a little bit about some of the training that we've had with you. Is that like you say, I am in a leadership role now, and we are successful, and we love what we do, and we're very committed and believe 100% in the whole process. And but in the trainings that we have done with you and Lisa, there have been so many little things that have helped to move me even beyond some of my belief and just that relaxation and fun part of things. And so I want to encourage all of you that have not been involved or have not taken advantage of the trainings that we've done in the past, please go back and listen to them and watch them and take notes, because even if you think that you've heard it before, it's going to come at you in a different way, and you may find something that you may not need right now, but a few months from now, that's going to be in your memory bank, and you're going to need that, and it's going to be there. So you just kind of take what you want, take what's going to help you for today, and just know that this is this is just a process of learning continually. Be teachable.
For those who are new, and that's why when you listen to some of the folks like Eric and some of the great masters, they talk about putting something on in the car, or putting it on your your iPhone, your Android phone, or whatever, some type of device, and plugging in your earphones while you're driving, but listening to things over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, Jeff Roberti, who's made $80 million in a career, talked about the fact that he listened to things over and over and over and over. And I didn't listen to him once and go, okay, oh, I've heard that before. No, he listened to the same things again and again and again and again and again until it was embedded. So then it became instinctive thought instead of, well, let me think, what did he say? He said, again, are you going to do? Those who do those things, period. It's just not complicated. So.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think you're awesome. So
I love you too. You just look great. I'm glad you guys are just crushing it, and I'm so happy for your team, because it's, your success is reflective of how many people are succeeding on your team, and I hope I hope the success level you and Mark are at is 4 times bigger a year from now, because the numbers of people that you guys will be crushing it with and helping in doTERRA will be 4 times larger, and the world needs that. So, as always, it's wonderful to see you, and I want everybody, have a great day and a great week and great weekend, and we'll see you guys in the next couple of weeks, next week or beyond. This time next week I'll be in Taiwan, but I think I'll be flying back to Hong Kong, so I may be available for that hangout next week. If not, then I'll catch up with you guys the following week.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.